The morning sun over Manhattan's skyline glittered against the high-rise glass towers, painting the city in gold. A black limousine pulled up in front of the sprawling penthouse complex that belonged to one of the most respected businessmen in America, Alexander Grant, a self-made billionaire known not only for his wealth but for his humility. He was supposed to be away for another week, attending a string of investment meetings in London. But an unexpected cancellation gave him the rare opportunity to fly back early. For him, it wasn't about the thrill of surprising his fiancée with his early arrival, it was about rushing home to the two most important people in his life, his aging mother, Margaret, and his 8-year-old daughter, Lila. They were his world. His wife had passed away years earlier, leaving Alexander with a void only softened by the laughter of his daughter and the wisdom of his mother. As he stepped out of the limousine, the driver offered to help with his luggage, but Alexander waved it off with a gentle smile. "Don't worry, James. It's good to walk in with my own two hands," he said warmly, grasping his leather suitcase. He was still in his navy travel suit, looking every bit the polished executive, yet his eyes carried a softness reserved only for his family. When the elevator doors slid open to his penthouse floor, Alexander expected to hear Lila's playful giggles or the faint classical music his mother loved. Instead, the hallway was disturbingly quiet, except for muffled voices near the terrace. He frowned, his polished shoes silent on the marble floor as he walked closer. That was when he heard it. A sharp, venomous voice, his fiancée, Vanessa Sterling, the glamorous woman everyone envied him for. "Useless old woman. And you, brat, don't think money makes you special. Without Alexander, you're nothing." Alexander froze, his heart slamming in his chest. His breath caught as he peered around the corner. What he saw made his stomach churn. On the terrace, his mother and daughter were sitting quietly on a wicker bench. Margaret's hands trembled slightly, clutching her granddaughter protectively. Sweet little Lila pressed into her grandmother's arms, eyes wide with fear. Standing before them was Vanessa, dressed in silk pajamas and slippers, her manicured nails clutching a bucket of murky, dirty water. With chilling calmness, Vanessa tilted the bucket and began to pour. The cold water splashed down Margaret's lap, soaking her dress, dripping onto Lila's small sneakers. Both gasped in shock, flinching under the cruelty. Alexander's jaw clenched so tightly it ached. He wanted to storm in immediately, but his feet rooted him for a moment, forcing him to witness the reality he had been blind to. Margaret, despite shivering from the sudden wetness, raised her chin. "You don't have to do this, Vanessa. Alexander may not see the truth now, but lies and cruelty always reveal themselves." Vanessa sneered, tossing the empty bucket aside with a loud clang. "Oh please. Don't act so noble. I've been patient enough, playing the role of the sweet future daughter-in-law. But you and that child," she jabbed a finger toward Lila, "you're just baggage. Once I marry Alexander, I'll make sure you two are tucked away in some care facility far from here. He doesn't need you dragging him down." Tears welled in Lila's eyes as she whispered, "Grandma, I want Daddy." Those words pierced Alexander deeper than any blade. His mother wrapped her arms tighter around Lila, stroking her hair. "Shish, my darling. Your daddy loves you more than anything. He'll never let anyone hurt you." Vanessa let out a cold laugh, pacing the terrace like a queen who had just won a war. "Love. Alexander's blinded by it. He thinks you two matter, but wait. Until I'm in control, he'll only see me, by his side, at every gala, on every magazine cover. You'll vanish like the nobodies you are." At that, Alexander's vision blurred with fury. His hands trembled, not with weakness but with rage restrained too long. He had believed Vanessa to be kind-hearted, refined, someone who could embrace his family as her own. Instead, she was a snake waiting for the right moment to strike. He stepped forward silently, his tall frame casting a shadow that fell across the terrace. Vanessa hadn't noticed him yet. She leaned closer to his mother, her voice dripping with malice. "The only reason I'm tolerating you now is because Alexander is away. If he ever found out, I'd just smile and twist the story. He believes every word I say. He'll never believe you. Are you sure about that, Vanessa?" The deep, commanding voice cut through the air like thunder. Vanessa stiffened. Her smile vanished, replaced by wide-eyed shock as she spun around. Standing at the entrance to the terrace was Alexander, his expression cold as steel, his eyes blazing with betrayal. The color drained from Vanessa's face. Alexander, you're home early." Alexander walked forward slowly, his presence suffocating. Every step echoed with restrained power. He didn't even glance at her at first, his eyes went straight to his mother and daughter. He bent down, pulling Lila into his arms, pressing her against his chest as if shielding her from every ounce of cruelty in the world. He kissed her damp hair gently, then touched his mother's soaked sleeve. "Mom, I'm sorry you had to endure this," he said softly, his voice cracking with pain. Margaret gave a weak smile, though her eyes glistened. "Truth has a way of arriving right on time, son." Finally, Alexander straightened and turned his gaze to Vanessa. The silence between them was louder than any shout. His jaw tightened as he studied the woman he once thought he loved. "I heard every word," he said flatly. Vanessa's lips parted, desperate to scramble for excuses. "Alexander, it's not what it looks like. They misunderstood. I was only enough." His voice thundered now, causing Vanessa to flinch. "I trusted you with my family. And you," he gestured toward the wet bench, the empty bucket, his trembling child, "you dared to humiliate them under my roof." Vanessa's polished mask cracked, her composure unraveling under the weight of his wrath. She reached out a hand toward him. "Please, Alexander, I was just frustrated. I didn't mean it. You know how much I love you." But Alexander took a step back, shielding Lila with his body. His eyes no longer held affection, only ice. For Vanessa, the glamorous dream of becoming a billionaire's wife had shattered in an instant. She had underestimated the very thing that made Alexander who he was, his unbreakable loyalty to his family. And in that silent, burning moment, the stage was set for a reckoning that would change all of their lives forever. The air on the terrace had grown heavy, almost suffocating. Vanessa's perfect hair and silk robe no longer made her look like the glamorous socialite everyone admired. She looked cornered, exposed, and desperate. Alexander stood tall, his daughter still clinging to his chest, her small hands clutching at his suit jacket as if afraid he might disappear again. His mother, soaked but dignified, rose slowly from the bench, her eyes fixed on Vanessa, not with hatred but with disappointment that cut far deeper. "Alexander," Vanessa tried again, her voice trembling now. "Please, you don't understand. I was just teaching them some respect. You know how stubborn your mother can be. And the girl," she was mouthing off. "I lost my temper. That's all." Alexander's expression didn't soften. His piercing gaze never wavered. Teaching respect. His voice was calm now, too calm, like the eye of a storm. "By dumping dirty water on an old woman and an innocent child. That's not teaching. That's cruelty." Vanessa's face flushed. She took a step closer, lowering her voice into a whisper meant only for him. "You and I, Alexander, were meant for bigger things. The Forbes covers, the power, the society galas. Your mother and daughter, they're holding you back. I was only trying to help you see it. Don't let one mistake ruin everything we could have." Lila buried her face in her father's chest, muffling a sob. Alexander gently stroked her back, his jaw tightening. "My daughter is my future, Vanessa. My mother is my foundation. Without them, there is nothing worth building." Vanessa's composure cracked further. Her hands shook as she reached out to touch him. "Don't say that. You need me. Do you know how many women dream of being with you? I sacrificed my career, my independence, everything, to be by your side. And this is how you repay me. By taking their word over mine." Margaret stepped forward now, placing her wrinkled hand on her son's arm. Her voice, though soft, carried immense strength. "Son, you don't need to argue with snakes. They only tighten their grip when you feed them your attention." Vanessa's eyes flashed with anger. "Snake, how dare you call me?" "Enough." Alexander's voice boomed across the terrace, silencing them both. His patience, his restraint, had snapped. "Vanessa Sterling, you showed me today who you truly are. And believe me, I am grateful. Because I almost married a woman who would have destroyed the very heart of my family." Vanessa paled, stumbling backward. You're breaking off the engagement. Just like that. After everything." Alexander's stare was unyielding. "There is no engagement anymore. Pack your things. Leave my home. And if you ever come near my mother or my daughter again, I will make sure the world knows exactly who you are." Vanessa's breath hitched, her glamorous facade shattering completely. For years she had climbed the social ladder, carefully curating her image as the perfect wife to be of America's most eligible billionaire. And now, in one morning, it had all crumbled. No, Alexander, she begged, her voice cracking. Please, don't do this. The press, the tabloids, they'll crucify me. My reputation, your reputation, Alexander cut in coldly, is the least of my concerns. You should have thought about that before humiliating my family. Lila lifted her head then, her voice small but steady. Daddy, I don't like her. She's mean. Those innocent words sealed the moment. No amount of pleading or excuses could undo what Alexander had heard from the lips of his own child. Vanessa's eyes darted between them, desperate, searching for one last card to play. But all she saw was Alexander's protective arms around his daughter, and his mother standing tall beside him, dignity intact despite the water that still dripped from her dress. At last, Vanessa let out a bitter laugh, though her tears betrayed her. Fine. You'll regret this, Alexander. One day you'll realize no woman in your world of power and money will love you the way I did. Alexander's voice was final, firm as stone. If love means cruelty, control, and deceit, then I want no part of it. Without another word, Vanessa stormed inside. Moments later, the sound of her heels clicking against the marble echoed down the hall, followed by the slam of the front door. The silence that followed felt like fresh air after a storm. Lila looked up at her father with wide, tear-filled eyes. Daddy, is she gone forever? Alexander kissed her forehead gently. Yes, sweetheart. She'll never hurt you again. Margaret placed a hand on his shoulder, her voice gentle. Son, you've always had a good heart. Don't let betrayal harden it. There will be better days ahead. For the first time since stepping off the plane, Alexander allowed himself to breathe deeply. He held his daughter closer, then reached for his mother's hand. Together, the three of them walked inside, leaving the terrace and its bitter memories behind. Weeks later, the news of Alexander's broken engagement spread like wildfire across tabloids and business circles. Some speculated, some gossiped, but Alexander remained silent, refusing to dignify rumors. He poured his time instead into what mattered most, strengthening the bond with his mother and daughter. The mansion no longer echoed with Vanessa's sharp heels or hollow laughter. Instead, it rang with Lila's giggles, her drawings plastered across the fridge, her bedtime stories filling the nights. Margaret often sat in the garden with her son, offering quiet wisdom as they watched Lila chase butterflies. One evening, as the three of them shared a simple dinner, Alexander raised his glass of sparkling water. To us, he said warmly. To the family that can never be replaced. Lila clinked her juice glass against his. To us, she echoed. Margaret smiled, tears glistening in her eyes. And to truth, which always comes out in the light. Alexander leaned back, a rare peace settling over him. Wealth, power, reputation, those were fleeting. But the lesson he carried forever was clear. A man's true fortune lies not in his bank account, but in the people he loves and protects. Moral of the story. Money and power may attract many people into your life, but only adversity reveals their true character. A loving family is the greatest treasure, and no amount of wealth can replace loyalty, kindness, and respect.